Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. I'm just adjusting my headset quickly. Today I'm going to cover a game that was played just a couple of days ago, the 23rd of March 2023. And in this case I'm playing as black, and as you might have noticed I've actually switched the board around, which I haven't done for the past couple of games. So I thought maybe let's see what happens when I look from my side, and it's like instead of just looking at the general game. Maybe if we focus on one side, you might see different possibilities. So we start the game off with English, which is quite a normal opening. E4, sorry, C4, E5. Basically, this is kind of the opposite of a Sicilian, where Sicilian's E4, C5. And basically, the idea is to get the centre with a flank pawn, meaning you don't have to make these pawns go into the centre. You don't have to. Basically, you want to keep as much open as you can. So you don't want to constrict these pawns to basically make weaknesses, on like in this area here. So by moving a flank pawn, basically you kind of just do that. Normally this is one of the normal moves. Another move is F5. That's also kind of a very similar idea with the flank pawn, but F5 is quite dangerous because it opens up the king on this diagonal. So just a couple of ideas. Knight C3 and Knight F6 are very simple developing moves, and E4. Now this isn't the best move in this position. There's other moves like D3 or F3 or something like. Because what F4 does, what E4 does is kind of allows an attack on the pawn, kind of. Because it's kind of like an Italian now, but this pawn now not in the flank. It is now not behind the knight; it's in front of the knight. So now this bishop can't come here. So I don't know. That could be something. You could also V-incate the bishop as well, or develop the knight. But then if you get kicked away, you have to move the knight. So there's some ideas here, but this is what my opponent plays. Bishop c5. So bishop c5 is pretty much just an Italian now. Yeah, you can see the same structure in the Italian for black, but just you can see it's slightly different as to where the pieces are. H3. My opponent wanted to stop this kind of attack because you can see it's defended by the knight. Yeah, I mean, if that's all it does, you could have also played f3. There's also possibly another idea here. If you want to do if you want to expand on the king side and castle queen side, that's also possible. Because then you'll be attacking my knight, and this side actually quite undefended, because you can see there's only 2 pieces on the side compared to 5 on the other side, on the queen side. Maybe 5 on the queen side. So that's probably what my opponent was thinking. Knight c6, just developing, very simple. G3. Now I thought this style of opening wasn't very good for white, because you've already done 4 pawn moves in the first 5 moves, and you can see take a look at this development for black. Three minor pieces out. if you're going to take a look at the position, these pieces can't go anywhere. These pieces are all stuck. This piece can't move any more forward. This piece can't really move any more forward. You can go here, I guess, or here. And then this is kind of like not a good idea. I mean, I thought it looked quite bad, but according to the computer, it's equal. Is actually black slightly winning. It's 0.1, negative 0.1. But this kind of, it's kind of weird, I think. But if you take a look at also what white's done, is with the first 2 pawn moves, he's actually created quite a lot of weaknesses on these 2 squares. So my knight's going to go there, isn't it? Because he can just hop into there. A very simple idea. Get an outpost, because he can't be attacked. You get away this knight. Of course. So b6, wanting to V-incate the bishop, because the bishop won't come out this way, because you can see it's not going to pretty much go anywhere, and if it goes here, it's quite passive. You can't attack the pawn because it's defended by the bishop. Yeah, so it's quite. I wanted to get on the long diagonal. That's all I wanted to do, really. Bishop g2, bishop b7. Yeah, so we're basically both being carried to the bishop on the opposite diagonal. Very fun. Now we're basically kind of trying to pin each other to do our pieces. And then let's say these pieces were moved out of the way. Then whoever's turn it was, they would take the other person's bishop and attack the rook. So it's kind of quite nice positioning for both bishops, but also quite aggressive. D3 would play by my opponent, opening up the bishop, wanting this pin, I think, or possibly trading off bishops. Not really a good idea in this position. Yeah, I think this to get the pin. I think that's probably it. H6, just stopping the pin. Very simple. Knight G to E2. Yeah, basically just consolidating your powers. If you take a look at this, it's two minor pieces developed to 4, and what white's winning is plus 0.7, just because of the big centre. Yeah, so while it looks like white's down in development, they've actually they've got a lot more powerful pawns instead of pieces. Knight D2, yeah, Knight D4, as I was saying, outpost. It can be attacked, but instead, white plays castles. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It is possible. And here there's a slight mistake I make. C6. And what the idea of C6 is you're wanting to opening up the center with D5. Because if you can visualize this, D5 takes, and takes with the queen, and then probably something like knight to C3 attacking the queen. But then this is quite nice for black, I think, just because of all the nice pieces. And this bishop will be more powerful than this bishop, so it looks a lot nicer for black. However, my opponent played so it's something like D6, and if knight takes, bishop takes. This is also another variation. I didn't think I've talked about the variation yet. If knight were to take instead of because I was doing like a waiting move. That's what D6 would have been if I had played it, and then knight would have taken, bishop takes, and knight E2. You don't want to trade this off because then you get doubled pawns. So you move to attack the bishop and C5, and then you trade off the bishop because it's quite a powerful bishop for the knight. Trading a bishop for a knight. So if you're the one trading off, and if you're wanting a bishop for a knight, then that's quite good because bishops are better in the end game. In this situation, it's probably also quite good to trade off pieces because the bishop couldn't go anywhere either. But then black has this nice center. But then you have to get b4, and it kind of goes the very similar idea to the game. But instead of the pieces being traded off, you get the pawns, get a stronger center. So instead, C6, blocking off the bishop. That's why it was quite bad. Plus 1.6. And King H2. And I thought this was quite a weird move. Because why would you move this? You've got all the pieces, why would you just move the king? And probably the idea was either to get out of this pin, or just to make the king a little bit safer behind the pawns. And it's actually one of the top computer moves as well, which I didn't realise in the game. It's actually, the computer really likes King H2. D5, attacking the centre, as I said, and we take and takes. And now B4. And here, you're thinking, what does B4 do? Can't you just take B4? Let's say you took B4. Let's say bishop takes B4. Then you have this check, and if you look closely, it's a fork. So if the queen moves to block the check, you just take. So that's that's the idea behind B4. This wasn't the best move in the position. Actually, it goes from plus 2.5 to plus 0.8. The best move was F4, and now it's getting a little bit more confusing. Why F4? Which side you should expand on? Because this is the king side. You don't want the king to be safe. So why would you push one of the pawns in front of the king? But the idea is just to open up the position, because now you have 3 pieces defending this pawn. So if black were to take, you'd get one of your pieces active, gain some tempo. But if black takes here, you just take back with the queen, of course, and e4. So black doesn't want to take, and they want to kind of block the bishop. So e4, and then kind of the similar idea in the game, where you had this pawn structure in the game, but instead of that, a possible line could be knight takes d5, knight takes d5, c takes d5, queen takes d5, bishop takes e4, queen e6. And there's quite a lot of it's quite complicated here. F5, queen e7. So in this situation, you don't want to take care because you lose the queen. So you want to defend the queen just by something like rook e1, but then you get taken here. So it's quite a bit of a gamble trying to decide what you want. But if you do get taken here, and you take back, and you take back, and you take back, black's in check, and they have to move the bishop back to stop, and to keep castling rights, and to stop the check. You can also move the king, but you lose castling rights. You don't want to do that because there's rooks hidden in the corner. So that's a possible line. Back to the game, we have b4. Knight takes e2. And knight takes e2. You probably saw that. You probably saw this coming. The idea, well, this knight's on a really nice outpost, but it can't actually go anywhere. And one of the best computer moves was to do this. The computer did like that. Knight takes e2 and bishop e7. So I had a choice between two different moves there, because what I can look at is you can go here, here, or here. So three different moves. Can't go here because we get taken. Get double pawns. You don't want that. So choice between two moves, here or here. And I was thinking, this pawn needs protection, doesn't it? Because it's being attacked twice, and possibly 3 times if the knight goes back to c3. So you want to protect this 3 times, and you have protection of 1, 2, 3 times. So you can. I thought just pushing the bishop back here was probably better, but the computer actually likes bishop to d6, and the idea behind this is probably just to kind of regain the strong bishop, because bishop e7 is quite passive. c5 you get attacked and you just takes and up a pawn, if that were to happen. But then you do have quite strong counter. White does have quite strong counterplay. Got some good diagonals here. The knight could come out on here. The rooks could come out. So it looks quite dangerous for black, even though black's up a pawn. Yeah, so knight takes and knight takes. Bishop e7 was played, and this is +1 for white. f4, and playing f4 in this situation isn't as good isn't as good as it would have been if you had played it earlier. This actually leads to an equal position, which is quite funny. It's because even though this gains tempo, now black can push, and yeah, this is what happens. E4, and now you can't take, so it's quite annoying. This pawn's kind of just here now. It does exist, but it does block off the bishop playing e4, so you have to be careful. But you do also weaken the dark square, so you can have this knight going here, bishop to b2 on the long diagonal, attacking the rook, attacking the knight, attacking the pawn, attacking the rook. So quite powerful bishop if you do get that. Queen a4 check was played. Yeah, the computer doesn't like it because you just trade off queens. You just kind of lose you kind of trade off powerful pieces. But this queen isn't doing anything productive. So why would you trade off? A better idea is to take care and the computer likes trading off with the queen. And I thought, what does this do? Aren't you gonna lose it? Yeah, because after takes, queen c, we'd have to move the queen out of the way. Queen c4 and bishop to b2 on a long diagonal. Yeah, I mean, it's quite difficult to see who's winning this position because the black king's not as safe as it could be. Could just castle, but these pieces are quite active, so it's kind of what's your preference here? And also, black could win back the pawn by just taking here. There's some ideas. Actually, it doesn't actually win back the pawn because you can, yeah. Yeah, so it's slightly winning for black according to the computer, but it's very difficult to see. So queen a4 check and queen d7, and you trade off. Now, what I found quite funny is the computer likes king takes d7, and I thought, what does this do? Doesn't this weaken the king, putting it in the center and not losing castling rights, and also it's quite open. But then I also saw there's nothing to attack it because the knight can't attack it. There's no attack for the knight. The bishop can't attack it. The bishop's stuck behind the pawns. This bishop can't attack it. It's a dark squared bishop. And these rooks are still in the back rank, so they can't attack it. And these pawns are just in the way, I think. So then, yeah, they would probably trade off, and the bishop would come here. And you kind of give up the pawn because you're looking to take this pawn. Rook fc1, and d takes, and takes, and takes. And now our black up's one pawn. However, again it's quite difficult to say. It's quite complex, really, these positions, because white's slightly winning, just probably because of these two weak pawns. Yeah, because white can just take back in this situation, and yeah, these pawns are isolated, so they can't be defended by another pawn. Whereas white only has one isolated pawn, and these rooks are protecting it. So yeah, that was a possible combination that could have been played, but instead knight takes was played, and c takes d5. Now the computer doesn't like this. I can probably imagine why. You can just take here. You can also take here. If you take here though, it's actually quite dangerous because you get this, and then you have to take back and you get taken. Yeah, there's some ideas here, but wasn't the best move. Bishop rook to b1 was the best move. Wanting to activate the bishop, I wanted to get this open file by trading off the pawns, of course. D takes and d takes e4, so d takes d4 and knight f6, and now this is quite a strong move, knight c3. But then there's also looking at e5. I would say it's quite strong. I'm not sure though. Yeah, e5 does look quite strong. Probably not the strongest, but it does look quite strong. Knight c3, wanting just to protect the pawn because now two attackers to two defenders, and cut long castles. Ooh, now I think the reason why the computer liked this is because it opens up, it allows the rook to get the open file. Yeah, but then the problem is the king is now not safe. The computer also likes rook just rook to d8. That's what the computer liked. Long castles also like that. Yeah, I find it quite a strange move, long castle, but this is still an equal position. Yeah, but c takes d5 does lose some of the advantage. Bishop takes b5 is played. Yeah, so let's see another variation that could have been played. E takes and knight d4. I wanting to not lose a knight. And then b takes on bishop takes b4, and now you're up a pawn. But yeah, and you're slightly winning negative 0.7. It's not really clear though, because it's not really clear what the best move is here. It's quite difficult because it's quite complex. What I played after c takes d5, b takes d5, bishop takes. Let's say after. Knight takes d7, c takes d5, bishop takes d5, and I forgot this pawn is attacked twice, so it can be taken, especially if it's a lower ranked piece, because now you can't take back. So I thought this pin looked quite nice, so I did it. Yeah, it isn't the best idea. It's kind of a good idea according to the computer. It's plus 0.8. Plus 0.8. Rook f2, probably the only move, because if rook to e1, you have bishop takes on b4, and you lose the knight, or the rook, depending on which you want to lose first. Because yeah, if you move the rook out of the way, you lose the knight, and if you move the knight, you lose the rook. It would probably not be. Yeah, this wouldn't be a nice position. So this is kind of the forced move. Maybe there was something. Maybe you could have also done something else like protect it. Yeah, but some ideas. Yeah, it's quite passive though, and all the pieces are kind of stuck. Rook f2 is played, and bishop takes b4. It's played anyway, even if it's not attacking the rook. Look quite nice. You also want to now free this space up for the bishop, because then you can attack the rook. And again, it's the same idea. If the rook isn't being protected, then you can take it, and if the knight isn't protected, then you can take it. And that's why bishop e3 was played. And the idea behind bishop e3 is to stop bishop to c5, because if you just take it straight off if it's played. And now castles, short castles. Just to get the king to safety, the computer does like it. Knight d4, opening up, kind of on getting the knight out of danger. And rook f8, rook c1, and rook bishop to d3, attacking the pawn. And this is a mistake. Why is this a mistake? Because even though it looks quite strong, it's attacking lots of the enemy spaces. It can be attacked quite easily. Moves such as this, rook d1, attacks it. This pawn's protected by the other bishop, so you're not going to take it anyway. Bishop a6 would have been better to play. This is still losing, but it's losing less, because e5 is still played anyway, and rook c8, rook ac8, sorry. And you just trade off rooks and just keep playing. However, yeah, this is played. Now these bishops are undefended. Now they can be attacked. So after e5, you have rook ac8. And the idea is just to trade off rooks. But white sees that this bishop's undefended, and rook d1. And now bishop c8. And now this is +6. So what's the difference? What's the difference between this position and this position? It's to do with whose turn it is, I think. Because now it's white's turn, and white has the rook here, so they can start an attack instead of the rook here. Because then they have to take the rooks, and it kind of just becomes quite annoying. The rook now kind of sees the knight through this knight. I think it's X-raying. I think that's what it's called. And another move black could have played here is to defend with knight c5. This is still +3, because you'd probably lose a piece here. a3, you wanting to attack the bishop, and bishop to a5. Knight to c6, again attacking the bishop, and attacking this bishop with the rook. But you don't want to take it because of this knight. Bishop e4, attacking the knight, and the bishop. So it's kind of a fork, but you can get taken. And now the computer starts playing really weirdly here. You get stuff like knight takes a7, attacking the rook. So now if you take here, you lose your rook. So rook a8 attacks the knight, and knight back to b5, and then black trades off the bishops, and then rook a to d8, wanting to attack the rook, and trades off rook c2, attacking the knight, and just defending the knight. And this is how it could have gone. This is still losing. This is still +3.5. Just some lines that I found quite interesting. Yeah, but bishop a6 it was played, and knight f5. Why is knight f5 not the best move in this situation? Because it doesn't do anything. It looks like it's quite aggressive. It is quite aggressive. But the idea is to just get space on this side of the board. But the computer likes this move. Just because this knight, it's because it doesn't. Now the rooks are open. Now the rook's looking at the knight, and there's lots of tactics here for white. The computer even suggests sacking the. You can see here the computer suggests sacking the knight on e5, which kind of weird, or sacking the rook for the knight on c2. So very weird stuff here. It's because you're losing so much. So you want to you don't trade off material, but the computer just says, yeah, why not? It's quite silly. Yeah, but knight f5 and g6. And now here's a big mistake. Any other move, probably any other move would have been fine. But g6 allows knight takes h6 check, and then the king has to run out of the way with king g7, and you get knight takes f7, and then you lose lots of pieces. Yeah, so that g6 wasn't the best move here. One possible idea is knight f8. You can also play knight b8 as well. Yeah, you just want to make sure everything's protected. You want to get you want to run away, not run away. You want to defend your pieces well enough. Yeah, because then if you thought maybe this fork here, no, you get taken. And if you thought this idea to attack the bishop first, bishop c5, trade off with the rook, and now you no longer have the fork. But now white's wanting to double the rooks, and it's plus 1.5 here, so it's slightly better than what I mean, it's significantly better than what I played, which was g6, which is now plus 6.8, and knight takes h6 plus is now 8.1. So now, yeah, now it's completely lost for black. King g7, and this is kind of inaccurate, taking with the knight on f7. The better idea would have been to take with the rook on d7 first, and the king takes there, and then the rook takes there. And I think the reason is because then you can definitely win this pawn. You'll see in the later variations where there's a way that black can defend this pawn, kind of. But yeah, now this rook's really active on the 7th rank, and you now want to get this rook active as well. It's very hard to defend, and there's also this check as well, because it's a discovered check, which I find quite funny. Yeah, so that would have been better to play, but knight takes f7 was also good, because then you have king takes and rook takes. And now there's some ideas here. King f8 was played, and you can see why that's quite bad. It goes from plus 5.2 to plus 8.6. Rook e7 was better, and you can see, like I said, now this pawn's protected, because if you take it, the rook takes you. So that means you can either have to trade with the rooks off, or just run away, which is what the computer likes. Yeah, but king f8 does lose the pawn. Rook takes a7, and now the bishop's under attack. So bishop d3, and losing another pawn by bishop takes b6, and rook c1. So now this is just completely winning for white, plus 7.7. Rook c7, you wanting to get to attack on. Yeah, you wanting to get your rooks developed and attacked. Not you don't want to get your rook attack. You want to attack with the rooks. Like rook c7, you want to trade off rooks, but doesn't allow it. Rook black, I don't allow it. I don't want white to trade off the rooks, because if you take a look, if everything's traded off, so if one bishop, two bishops, two rooks, and a pawn are traded off, you can see white's up now 4 pawns of material, so it's now gonna be losing for black. So I don't want to trade off. So that's why I play rook b1. And now, what I find quite interesting here is rook c8 is the best move, because after rook takes and rook takes, you've still got the attacking rook on the nice c file, open c file, and rook b2 attacks the bishop, and bishop e1. Very interesting moves by the computer. Why I quite like enjoying the computer moves is because they can be quite funny. Yeah, you can see some variations that you wouldn't that a human wouldn't see, and then you can kind of apply those to your game, and kind of be more computerish in your playing. But you can also, I mean, yeah, there's some arguments against as well. But yeah, bishop to c5 check. By moving the rook out of the way, it's allowed for this check here, kind of forking the two pieces. So now trade is forced. And I wanted this bishop so I could kind of get it here. Because if I would have got the bishop here, we'd have seen everything has been attacked, been really aggressive bishop. But bishop takes c5 is a forced trade after rook takes c5, and rook eb8. And rook eb8 puts basically kind of doubles the rooks. And my opponent here plays kind of silly. Rook c6 doesn't do anything. You're attacking the pawn, but it can just quite easily be defended. So yeah, you are still winning up material, though. It's still still like plus 6 points. Better move here was rook to d2, attacking the bishop. And yeah, because you can see my opponent forgot that the bishop was defending as well, so you can't win the pawn. But rook d2 kind of forces the bishop away, and they're going to go attack it. And why is this better than leaving it where it was? Is because after something like bishop to e6 and king g3, g5, you would trade off pawns, but you could have also played this move, rook to c6, attacking the bishop and the pawn. You can either go back with the bishop or you can defend with the king. Yeah, it's very difficult to play in this situation. It's probably resignable. So what was played is rook c6, attacking the pawn, but kind of doesn't. Rook 8 b2, and this does trade off rooks, but it does allow this nice pin. And what I was looking at is if, let's say, there was this check here, king g7, h4, sorry, and bishop f1. So if white idly just played to expand on this side of the board, on the king side, then you do this really nice tactic, and black would then win the bishop. Yeah, because after rook checks, after rook checks and king h6, h5, yeah, you can take on g2 with check, and then king h1, and rook takes on g3. And now this is equal material, and it's actually it's not equal material. It's a bishop for 3 pawns, so it is equal material actually. And it kind of looks scary, because yeah, I mean, yeah, it's quite difficult to decide who's winning here. It's equal material. It's equal material. It's equal position. So this is what could have been played if white was kind of idle with their guy. If they just focused on pushing the pawns. However, that was not played. King g1 was played, and this is probably one of the best moves because even though it goes from plus 6.5 to plus 3.1, yeah, something like rook check would have been better. But since it's played now, this pin doesn't work because you can take it with the king and the bishop, and if you pin here, you just take it by the bishop, so it doesn't work. Yeah, so and then rook b1 check. It's kind of simply checking, kind of going back up to plus 6.7. What would have been better is rook takes. When you get interesting, why is this better? You can see here. Look at that. Look at that nice tactic here. Basically, you attack. You take the bishop. You take the bishop on g2, and if white takes back, then you have this nice fork, the bishop, and then rook. And now you look like you have a bishop. It looks like you're winning. A bishop for 1 pawn, bishop for 4 pawns is not winning. I could say a bishop for 4 pawns is definitely not winning. It's not winning because these pawns are just going to advance, so you can't stop them. G4, so on. bishop d7, king e3, they're just going to come down. You can't stop them with one bishop. So even if it did work, even if white did trade off pieces like that, white still would have won. I probably should have resigned earlier. Yeah, but rook checks and king f2, and rook checks on b2, and now king e3, and basically we just trade off pieces. So rook takes on g2, and king takes on d3, and then rook takes on g3 with check, protecting the pawn, attacking the king and the pawn. So kind of a fork. King e4, and kind of a mistake, I think, because rook takes h3 after, because you have rook takes g6. Because now you've taken the defense off, and rook h2 is played here. Is not the best idea, because yeah, as you can see, rook a6 just defends the pawn. If you had played rook a3 to attack the pawn, then there's a rook to g2, and also defends the pawn, and now you can't do anything. Rook a5 is something. Yeah, but defending the pawn is quite good, because now you're 3 pawns up in a rook endgame. King e7, wanting to basically go up and attack, and king f5, and now white has this nice check, because all these squares are defended, so black would have to move back. Rook to g2, and you can see they've played rook a7 check and king f8. Now from here it's mate in 17. If you can find it, go ahead and find it. If you don't want to find it, I'll show you some ideas. I'll show you what was played. King f8 was played, and e6, wanting to push the pawns. You can't stop it now. Rook e2, a kind of last-ditch attempt at defending. We still would have lost. But king f6, and now this threatening this checkmate. That means you have to move the king out of the way, either to. I mean, this is actually the only way. If you move the king to here, there's still checkmate. It's quite funny. So this is the kind of the only move to play. King g8, e7, kind of pushing the pawn. Rook e4, and I missed this check. I thought that's yeah. I just missed this check. I thought this. I thought I could just attack pawns and win, but yeah, no. There's this check. Rook a8 check, king h7, and queens. And I resigned after this. I only had about 2 seconds on the clock as well. I find this quite funny. Yeah, because e8 is equal to queen, and then you would have to trade off. Rook takes e8, and then just mate in 1, very simple. And if you play something else like checks, then the king just run away, attack the rook, but then rook will just move out of the way, and king 8, and then it's mate in 3. If you want to find it, you can. Yeah, but there's no stopping what white can do, because it's queen h8 check, king g6, rook g8 check, force movers here, king f7, and rook to g7 checkmate. Yeah. So that was the game, and to mention one of my problems in this game was time management. I spent the first, let's say, 40 minutes on the first 16 moves, which isn't recommended. I mean, you can do that. I wouldn't do that. I should have played a little bit faster. The problem is when I'm thinking too much, and I kind of have the ideas. I do have the correct ideas, but I take too long to make sure they're correct. Kind of doubt myself too much, and that's kind of where I'm losing time on basically trying to see if there's a better idea, even if there isn't. Because you can see here, most of these moves, they're decent moves. Most of them are recommended. You can see recommended. Nah, it could have been better. Yeah. So most of my ideas are good, but I spend too much time thinking about them, I think. And kind of the ideas that are bad, kind of the ones that let me down because bad and time travel, yeah, you're just going to get a lot of blunders. Yeah, I mean, I thought this game was okay until I looked. I mean, I thought I was doing okay until about this position. Till about till here. I'm kind of missed it. This was attacked, so that's me losing 1 point here, and then kind of the knight infiltrating with on yeah, the knight infiltrating on f5. I just missed it. This could be taken once I lost the defender. So I should probably be careful of what can be attacked and what can't be attacked. Yeah, so that's pretty much my analysis done. So what to get next time, less time travel, look for undefended pieces, and look for pieces that I attacked more than once. Yeah, like this pawn here. Yeah, this pawn's attacked twice, it's defended once, it can be taken. And also, probably another tip for me is, yeah, to stop kind of doubting myself on what's the best move. Because I can see like 4 out of 5 ideas, but I don't know which one's best. And once I lost the pawns, it's kind of just game over, really. Maybe an idea here was to stop trading. I'm not really sure. After I lose the pawns, it's kind of, I just kind of died, I think. Yeah, okay. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah, have fun. Bye.